What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, guys. As y'all see by the title, as I know too, the World Cup is upon us. My first year watching it, I'm already disappointed because my guy, the GOAT, y'all see it, Messi, they already out of there. I thought this was a year my guy was gonna get one, but we got Denmark's World Cup controversy. It's heating up. I don't know what's going on. I see that it's in like Qatar or something like that. I don't even know where that is. But somebody sent me a recommendation to check out Denmark's 2020 team. So that's why I was like, okay, but I seen this pop up. So I was like, why not get information from the guys? You know what I'm saying? My guys, robe trotting, they always come with good information about Denmark anyway. So we finna check this out, see what it's about. So y'all hit that subscribe button, send down those recommendations.
The 2022 World Cup is just getting underway, but Denmark's been in the headlines for weeks.
That's right, the Danish national team has been involved in a bit of a controversy. But what exactly is the goal of their well-meaning protest, and how is that having an impact on the fans of the Danish national team, as well as the Danish government and the Danish royal family? And why is the Danish national team's third kit selling out globally in advance of the 2022 World Cup?
We have our world-renowned journalist team here on the ground in Qatar to answer these questions and more, so stick around and let's find out. No matter how you look at it, this has certainly been one of the most controversial World Cups in history.
That's right. From the onset, there have been allegations of bribery and fraud between the Qatari bid committee and members and executives of FIFA.
Oh, man.
In fact, several executives have come out and said that the decision to award the World Cup to Qatar was a mistake, including ex-president Sepp Blatter.
What is Qatar? Where is this at? I feel like I need to Google this after this.
The decision to award the World Cup to Qatar was a mistake, including ex-president Sepp Blatter. For more on the controversies around these games, let's go to our field reporter, Martin Jensen.
The controversy of the Qatari World Cup isn't just limited to the alleged fraud and bribery associated with the original bid. It's also tied to, in some ways, how Qatar works as a country. This is a country that's heavily reliant on migrant labor, and the kafala system sometimes treats it like modern slavery, as workers come in from particularly South Asia and aren't allowed to leave. There's been multiple reports that as many as thousands of migrant workers have died during the course of the construction of the various stadia and facilities required to host the World Cup in Qatar. Qatar is also not exactly
Wait a minute, so they just built this stadium just for the FIFA World Cup? When they start doing that?
Stadium and facilities never knew they did required to host the World Cup in Qatar. Qatar is also not exactly a safe haven for LGBTQ rights. Homosexuality is illegal in the country, and even though the government has ensured that all fans be welcome for games here, there are open questions on how much that would actually be respected as people come to celebrate the World Cup here in 2022.
Wow, that is some great reporting. And it certainly seems like these controversies could cloud the games.
That is wild.
But I wonder how the fan experience is going to be.
To find out more, let's throw it down to that handsome Martin Jensen who's talking to some Danish fans. Thanks, guys. Most major sporting events start off with a little bit of controversy or some challenges, and this is certainly one that's included. There's been some cases where the fan zones aren't fully done with their construction. There's been issues with some of the hotels that aren't quite done yet. And maybe in the most controversial move, at the 11th hours before games began, the Qatari government decided that they were not going to allow sales of alcohol at the stadiums during the games. This certainly is a major impact on FIFA sponsor.
I ain't gonna lie, people come for their beers when they go to any game. NBA, NFL, football, basketball, soccer, tennis. People come for the alcohol.
Budweiser that had to, at the very last minute, tear down their big red stands that they had in the various stadia around the country. Obviously, this is going to affect the fan experience, so let's see how they're taking it. Hi.
Rasmus, og jeg kommer fra Nordjylland.
Kan vi tala på engelsk?
Oh, yeah, sure, we can speak English.
How are you doing?
I hate when people ask me how I'm doing.
Okay, well, more importantly, one of the big controversies is that they ban sale of alcohol in the stadiums. How is that affecting your experience here watching the Danish national team?
Well, I'm sober, of course. Which is kind of weird. I mean, I haven't watched football sober since I was about 4 years old.
Dang.
So do you think that you're going to have a better or worse experience without alcohol?
What do you think?
Fair enough. Well, that's a little bit of the experience here on the ground for the fans. Let's send it back up to the booth.
Wow. Sober football fans. Now that's a new one.
Well, we've heard from the fans. We've learned about the controversy. But what's Denmark's reaction to all of this? How is the government, the royal family, and key sponsors responding to all the controversies of the Qatari World Cup?
Yeah, Denmark's definitely jumped into the controversy and stirred things up a little bit. And for more on that, we're going to go to some American YouTubers who live in Denmark. They better not call it soccer.
Thanks, guys. Glad we could join the show. There certainly has been quite a bit of controversy tied in with the Danish response to the Qatar World Cup. For one, there's going to be no Danish representatives that will be joining from the government at the World Cup.
So the Danish team is not participating at all?
It's alleged that this is because the government isn't fully formed yet after the recent election, though this sounds a bit convenient. Also, the Danish royal family is not planning to attend any of the games in Qatar as well. This is a surprise since they're often seen at major sporting events like the World Cup, the Euros, and the Olympics. Though Kronprins Frederik did meet the team before they left from their training ground here in Denmark to go off to the games. Additionally, there's some controversy tied to the Danish kits. Derek is wearing an example right here where Danish sportswear provider Hummel, that always has the iconic chevrons, has made them in a subdued form and has the logo for both the company and for the team.
I need one of these shirts. Those are dope shirts.
As more subdued as well, as Hummel said they didn't wish to be associated with such a controversial event. There's also some controversy on the training clothes that the team planned to wear as they were preparing for the game as well. They were going to wear shirts that said human rights for all, although FIFA banned them from doing so, saying the message was too political.
Now, in light of political...
Didn't they just got Kyrie Irving for something political, I believe. I don't even think... he didn't even say that. It wasn't even really political at all, but, to each his own with that. That's another topic of discussion, but I feel like you can wear any shirt. It ain't harming nobody.
Hummel has also designed a third kit, which is in all black, which they call the color of sadness. Now, this has actually been a global bestseller because many people decided to buy the Danish national team's all black jersey in order to have a World Cup jersey, but do it in a way where they can protest the human rights violations that they see going on in Qatar. So while there has been huge support worldwide for the moves of the Danish national team and Hummel, and obviously the jersey has sold out, there's been a bit of a backlash as well. Some of the critiques come from people...
Dang. Why do you call it Denmark?
People who claim that it's a bit of hypocrisy, that Denmark has definitely things that others around the world could come after, whether it's a history of colonialism or maybe the treatment of Greenlanders or even immigrants and refugees that are living in Denmark today.
I feel like everybody can come at everybody with something. Because, every country done something that, especially nowadays, people think is very, very wrong, which in those times people thought were very, very right.
And that's definitely sparked a bit of whataboutism around the world for other teams that have hosted events recently, like Brazil or Russia or China, or even next year's host in North America, where many games will be played in the United States. Obviously, there's some complicated histories of colonialism, as well as intervention in the Middle East, or human rights and LGBT rights in Russia, China, Brazil, other places around the world. So while there is a lot to go around, it may seem like a bit of whataboutism. Two things can be wrong at once. Qatar may have some room for improvement when it comes to human rights, and there may be other histories and current human rights situations around the world that are also worthy of attention.
Yeah, this is a point that the current FIFA president made on the eve of the World Cup, saying that when it comes to the workers' rights, he noted that the workers were making more money building the stadiums in Qatar than they would make back in their home countries. Also brought up that same exact point, saying that perhaps with the history of European colonialism and other issues around the world, it's maybe not Europeans' position to be telling the rest of the world how to live their lives. Certainly this is a controversy that's going both ways, as there's a lot of money involved in this, and probably in the end, nobody is perfect and nobody's 100% correct.
Other people have said that if the Danish national team really wanted to make an impact, or if Hummel didn't want to be visible at the tournament, they could have stayed home. But that also would have repercussions for future international tournaments, and by
want to make an impact, go win it all.
Going and attending and making the political statements that they have so far, they've definitely drawn more attention to the issues at hand than if they were to stay home in protest.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best part of this is that by putting these things on the fore and having these conversations, in fact, there have been a lot of reforms inside Qatar in response to this, as they have broken down parts of the kafala system. It certainly isn't to the same standard we may expect in the West, but there's been some transparency and improvement improvements there, though not entirely, as we saw before the tournament as well. A TV2 reporter was hustled away from doing some reporting on the ground in Doha from some overzealous protectors. We're not entirely sure where they came from, whether they were from the government or police or private security.
Oh, wow.
Still seems like some of the openness and welcomeness that was committed to by the Qatari hosts isn't necessarily true along the way.
It's also worth pointing out that TV2 did receive an apology in regards to that incident, but it still didn't start off with the best look.
At the same time, the Danish national team is here to win some games. They're highly ranked. They're seen as a dark horse contender to go far in the tournament, especially in light of their run to the semifinals in the Euros last year. And their head coach, Cashapp, is certainly one who's saying that they're looking to stay above the fray in this and focus on football, while at the same time the team is certainly well aware of the political impacts and the humanitarian impacts of the games as well. It's probably a really interesting balance that they have to be, since they are certainly human beings who have an experience as well.
Now, Denmark's first game is on Tuesday against Tunisia, so we'll see how they do. And if you need to watch the game and you don't currently have access to a VPN, we have a link in the description for NordVPN, which you can try out for 30 days risk-free. And if you really want to understand how we've adapted to watching sports now that we live in Denmark, you can watch this video comparing sports in America versus sports in Denmark, and basically see what it's been like for us adjusting to watching sports in Denmark.
I need to check that
including
video out.
The Danish national football team. Thanks for watching, guys.
Comes to Denmark!
I need to check that video out. No, that's you know, I thought about. I think it would have worked if they protested or did all that. I think it would have worked if everybody agreed to do it. All the teams, all the countries agreed to do it. Because the same thing kind of happened in the NBA. I wouldn't say like the same exact, because World Cup is bigger, way bigger. But when the NBA were in the bubble during COVID time, like, most of those players, like, they started seeing what was going on the news and stuff. That's why all the Black Lives Matters and stuff, they were protesting and all those things. But everybody did it. That's why it didn't seem like a big deal. Because, if one person doing that, like, oh, what he's doing it, But when everybody doing it now, it's grabbing everybody's attention type thing. But I think all in all, they tried to boycott. They probably missed like 2 days of the game. But then they got right back to it. Because at the end of the day, this is business. These are contracts that are on and all those things. So you got TV contracts, all these different things that are involved. So I think that's probably why people were like, hey, just stay home. We trying to watch some FIFA. We've been waiting. Well, I think World Cup happen every 4 years or so. So people been waiting on this moment, So, but this is just what my thought is, in my opinion, I might not be right. Some of y'all might know more than me, but this is just what I've got. This is what I received off of it. This is what I'm thinking. But that's all I have. Definitely going to check out the sports in Denmark versus sports in USA. But appreciate robe trotting. Hey, good message, good information right here. Because I didn't know this was going on. But that's all I have. Y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.